One night in May 1987, a 23-year-old man in Pickering, Ontario got up off his sofa, walked out to his car, and drove more than 20 kilometers across Toronto. He let himself into a house in Scarborough with a key the family had given him. Inside were his wife's parents. He killed his mother-in-law, Barbara Ann Woods. He attacked her husband, Dennis, who survived. Then he drove to a police station. 5 expert witnesses would later testify that he had been asleep for all of it. The prosecution did not contradict a single one of them. What he said when he walked in was, "I think I have killed some people. My hands." He had severed the tendons in both hands. He had done it during the attack and had not noticed. Not while it happened, not on the drive, not standing at the counter. He worked out that he was injured by looking down. Sleepwalking does not come out of dreaming. Dreams belong to REM sleep, and during REM, your body is paralyzed. That is a safety mechanism. It is why you can dream about running and not move. Sleepwalking comes from the other end of the night. It rises out of slow-wave sleep, the deepest stage of non-REM, where there are no dreams to act out and no paralysis to stop you. What happens is a split. Part of the brain wakes up. The part that stands you up, walks you, works a door handle. Part of it stays asleep. The part that forms memories, weighs consequences, recognizes faces. Researchers call it a dissociated state, awake and asleep at the same time, in different places. About 1 in 14 people will sleepwalk at some point. It isn't rare. What's rare is what it can do when the sleeping half is the half that would have stopped you. 2 things reliably trigger it: sleep deprivation and acute stress. He had both, badly. He had a gambling problem. He had lost his job. He had taken about $30,000 from his employer to cover the losses, been found out, and was facing charges. He had barely slept in weeks. And that weekend, he was going to tell his in-laws all of it. They were not people he was frightened of. Barbara had once called him a gentle giant. There was no insurance, no money owed between them, no history of anything. When the police went looking for a motive, the problem wasn't that they found a weak one. There wasn't one. 5 experts examined him. Sleep laboratory testing found he dropped into deep sleep abnormally fast, and that the disorder ran in his family. All 5 testified he had been sleepwalking. The prosecution called nobody to say otherwise. On the 25th of May, 1988, a jury acquitted him. The Crown appealed, and in 1992, the Supreme Court of Canada upheld it. Their reasoning is the part worth keeping. Sleepwalking, they held, is a sleep disorder, not a disease of the mind. That distinction decided everything. A disease of the mind would have meant confinement in a psychiatric hospital. A sleep disorder meant he walked out of the building. This is where it stops being a strange story and becomes a problem. He is not an isolated case. In one study of 140 adult sleepwalkers, more than half had been violent in their sleep, and nearly half had been aggressive toward whoever was sharing the bed. Around 68 cases like his have reached a courtroom, and the features that make his case convincing are the same ones that make it almost impossible to test. Nobody can go back and measure what a brain was doing on one specific night. Sleep researchers have said so, and some of them are uneasy about how hard this defense is to disprove. Barbara Ann Woods was killed in her own house by someone she was fond of, and nobody was held responsible for it. Both of those things are true at the same time. The science that explains the first is the same science that makes the second impossible to avoid.